DraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective, your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
What is happening, draft heads? Welcome into the live stream / podcast. If you are listening to it later, let me go ahead and turn that off. Yep. Welcome back to the KPC. We are getting better at this live stream thing. One of these days, I'll be there. But yeah. Anyway, we're happy to be back with you. This is again Key Pass Collective. If you're not familiar, of course, the audio companion to the Draft Society website. What is the Draft Society, you ask? Well, it's a little late in the season to be asking that now, but I'll tell you anyway. Basically, that's where you want to go for your rankings. That's where you want to go for your player projections. That's where you want to go for all of your game week preparation articles, whether it is streamers or whether it's playing the waiver wire, trade-related articles, all of that good stuff. And brand new, we have the Fantasy Toolkit, which is literally an app that can help you prepare for your game week, talk you through some of your waiver wire ads, talk you through some of the guys you might want to drop, give you a literal score for your roster construction. So incredibly useful, and that's free till the end of this season. Anyway, the Draft Society, it's got everything you need to dominate the draft game. So head over there, and if you want to join the inner circle, we would just be really chuffed. We would think it's pretty fantastic of you. We're an independent fantasy site, so there's you're giving back to a good cause there, you could say. Not that we're a charity, but we do put in the Lord's work. All right, so let's go ahead and welcome in. I mentioned in the chat previously we were just waiting on one Nando's enthusiast to join us, and he's made it. So let's go ahead and bring him in. Ryan, of course, the aforementioned.
I have, yes, and I am quite the Nando's enthusiast. A very, very apt description there. How are you, man?
Doing okay. I was a little bit underwhelmed with the Champions League second leg that most of us just watched, but
yeah, you and me both. Quite the procession. Yeah,
it's all good. What a dominant performance, though, by City. I mean, just really clean, just proper beating.
Yeah. Arsenal are expected to win the title over this group.
No, who honestly can? It's insane. Yeah, it's absolutely wild. Yeah. Well, hey to some of our friends who are in the chat. What's up, Ben Chickens, Will Rivers? How's it going? Banta Boys, how are you guys? I always say check out their pod if you want to have a good time. They're fun. And FPL Hazardous, my man, long time friend. And early adopter of the Draft Society. So what's up, guys? And if more people join, obviously, shout out to you guys as well. But if you have questions in the chat, let us know. We can kind of save them for the end when we go through listener questions / viewer questions. But otherwise, feel free to banter away and give us crap for all the little mistakes that we make and or bad takes that we have. Let's talk about today on the show. All right, so the very first thing I think we obviously know that we need to talk about, I'll talk more about the Fantasy Toolkit later. I already mentioned it previously, but we'll come back to it. The first thing we need to talk about, obviously, is going to be Ivan Toney. It's going to be a game changer for next year. So that's one thing I think that most people want to hear, just at least our take on a little bit, and be curious to hear some of you in the chat how you feel about that as well. We're going to look at some rest of season fixture difficulty by position. So we'll look at all 4 positions on the field and just kind of see how the fixture difficulty tracker is lining those teams up based upon their rest of season fixtures. So that'll be interesting to see what takeaways we have going with that. followed by our Gameweek 37 streamers. Of course, we can't leave you out in the cold without some guys to stream. And then finally, some listener / Twitter / viewer questions. So let's get into it, Ryan. Oh, man. The news drops. Yeah. The news drops today. We were all, I mean, you'd be silly not to have expected it. But just to kind of read what's on the screen for people. So you have official Brentford striker Ivan Toney been banned from football for 8 months after admitting to 232 betting breaches. Ben Krellin, who's a great follow. If you don't follow him, do it. He posted his ban will end during winter break next season. We haven't seen all the game week dates for next season, but I think he'll miss just over half of the season, 20 or 21 league games if he stays in the Premier League. So what do you make of this, man? How does this affect drafts?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of saw this coming. I didn't buy the Thomas Frank quip or explanation last weekend, where he basically said that Toney had a hamstring injury or something. Kind of heard rumblings of this coming down the pike. Really weird timing, of course. There's 2 weeks left. If Arsenal were still in the title race and City didn't have to face Toney in the last game of the season, I'd be upset. But
yeah,
of course, that dream is done. But in terms of draft, I know people are going to be tempted to pick him up in the draft next season and just hold him for 6 months, basically, until mid-January. But I mean, just like picking up someone that's injured coming into the season, he's not going to have any kind of match fitness even in mid-January. He's still going to need a few games to get up to speed. I mean, I think you're probably looking at mid-February, really, until he starts kind of becoming fit and firing. So that's a long time to wait. I personally am not going to take that journey with Ivan, but I know a lot of people who will. I'd advise against it. It's burning a hole in your roster for almost 3/4 of the season. That's not something that I would advise, but I don't know. I know the temptation.
Do you know, are we talking banned from all team activities? I mean, is it he can't train with the team? He can't. I don't know enough about the ban and how it works.
I think he can technically use the training ground. I don't know if that means that he can participate in full training with the team or if he has to train on his own. Yeah, that's something you need to clarify. But yeah, either way, like I said, he's not gonna have match fitness.
Yeah.
When the ban drops in mid-January. So yeah, it's just too much for me to handle on my roster. What I would be interested in, and I don't think I play in a league where you have the injured reserve slot. I don't know if this would technically
Banta Boy says he's permitted to return to training only with his club for the final 4 months of his suspension starting 17 September 2023. That's interesting to know.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Sanji.
Yeah, that is interesting. So yeah, I guess the layoff won't be as long because of that. But still, like I said, match fitness is key, and it'll take a couple games, a couple substitution cameos for him to get up to speed. So yeah, like I said, you're really looking at mid-February. I don't know what this does to his transfer. I mean, he's kind of peaking right now, and I think we all were envisioning him getting a move to a Big Six club this summer, but I don't know if this means the Big Six clubs will try and get him at a cut rate price because of this. I don't know if this means that he's destined to stay at least another season at Brentford because Big Six clubs are scared off because of this. It's going to be a really interesting summer with him. But yeah, like I said, in terms of the injured reserve slot, I don't know if a suspension qualifies or allows you to just stash him in that injured reserve spot. If it does, then that might actually tempt me because that's just an extra slot that you can use for somebody like this. If that was the case, I think I might think about drafting him. If not, then nah, I'm good.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting. So okay, Ben Chickens mentioned Jota as a comparison. Injured soon after the start of the season. I mean, the difference there is you didn't draft Jota necessarily knowing he was going to be out for as long as he was, right? I mean, you knew because he got injured, right? Am I remembering this correctly? He got injured in kind of one of the final preseason matches.
I can't remember. That seems like a lifetime ago.
I mean, yeah, it really was a lifetime ago. And there was so much promise yet to the season. But
comparison, I think, was probably Pedro Neto the year before, where you knew that he was going to be out until January, February. I think in this case, there'll be some folks that, want to take on the risk, and then, mid-September hits and you realize that it was a mistake and you need that roster spot and you drop them. And then folks leave him on the wire until like a month before he's about to come back, and there's a mad dash for him. So I could see that happening for sure.
I just you're a huge proponent of a roster spot, of having flexibility with a roster spot, and I know there's someone in the chat who goes by Draft Lad normally, who loves a good open roster spot as well, and I just don't know why you'd want to hamstring yourself for an entire half season. And my other thought process is this. Okay, so it gets closer to when he's set to return. And like you say, all right, it's taking us some time to get up to match fitness. People get frustrated, as happens. And that's when you pounce. You give an asset. I'm thinking like this year, think about somebody like Almiron, right? Somebody who is peaking at the right time, but you don't necessarily think that it's going to continue. You think that Tony, eventually once he hits the ground running, hopefully, will eclipse that. That's when you make that trade. I just think let someone else carry him, and then see if you can't get him in like a cheeky trade.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. Or on the wire, like I said, he's going to go so late that people aren't going to be that invested in him unless they hold him for like the first 2 months. There's kind of like, it's like any sunk cost situation. There's like a threshold period where you're like, okay, I've held him for this long. I need to see this out. And in my experience with these type of players, it's usually like 2 months. So around October, I think if they're holding them until then they're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, that makes sense. Meanwhile, chat is overjoyed to see Evan back in the chat. Of course, the shit talker from last time. We were this close to booting him, to be honest. And
can we do that?
I think we probably
I don't have that administrative powers. If I did, he would have been gone.
There's a way. There's got to be a way. If he keeps up, his funny business, we'll look into it. But
StreamYard, please.
Yeah,
let us know.
Yeah, for sure. But what's up, Evan? A couple guys who snuck in when we were chatting there. Brando, what's going on, man? A lot of our good friends from the draft community. Just welcome everybody.
True.
Yeah, we're gonna try to keep it real for y'all. They're talking about drafting Tony and when you might draft him. Banta Boys says 8th round. You think he'd make it there?
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody taking him before then. Trying to remember when folks started picking up Neto. Yeah, I was thinking kind of
9th,
around 9th, 10.
I feel like I remember him going in like the 7th in a couple, but maybe that's just me hallucinating.
No, I'm there's always going to be
like
that, and with Tony, I think that's going to be the case too. But I think more rational minds probably wait a little bit.
Yeah. In the meantime, and not to spoil our streamers later, but are you interested in any Brentford assets as a result of this move or this ban?
I am. This fully fits into the Schadenfreude. Play on words that I've been using with Kevin with regard to Kevin Schade.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sharper Argument. He gave me that at first in our co-managing league where I suggested that we pick him up. Called him Schadenfreude, but
I really like
he's I think he's going to be a player that will really benefit from the extra season. Came over in January, and I mean, as we know with Thomas Frank, he usually takes a softly approach. So he took a while to kind of find his footing. Still needs to find that first goal. I think he might against Spurs this weekend, but don't want to bury the lead. He's somebody I would definitely look at. And another year under his belt, I think he's going to be sneaky value next draft. And I think this bumps up Mbeumo even more. He's shown that he's a capable forward 1, forward 2 this season. If he's going to be asked to lead the line next season, then I think his value goes up tremendously. Yeah,
that's definitely interesting. He's been decent. Unlike some other people. We have a question later from one of the godfathers of the Draft Society that will that we'll go over in more detail. But I looked back today at my fab expenditures and noticed.
Damsgaard.
Yep.
How much did you drop?
Was it 27? I think.
Drop in the bucket compared to what I dropped on Geddish. So don't feel bad.
Yeah. Oh man. Before we leave this quick, we do have Robbie. What's up, Robbie? Welcome, man. Asking if you do have that IR spot and you can put him in the IR, when are you thinking you'd take him?
Good question.
Tony, that is. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that moves him up, I think, a round or two. For me, I'd start thinking about him in the mid to late 8th.
Yeah,
I'd still be a little skittish, but yeah.
8th for half a season. I mean, he's the 11th overall player right now.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That spot isn't going to count against you as well. That's what makes it,
right.
Reasonable, I think.
Who else are you taking in the 8th round? Who else are you taking in the 7th round?
God, I don't even want to. I had Nori lined up, and I think all of my 7th or 8th rounds. So
yeah. No.
I think if you ask me now to go back, I think I would have taken a couple months of Tony for an entire season by
yes.
Nori. But
100%.
Yeah.
So something to think about, right? I mean, yeah, clearly. We've got some really interesting Damsgaard takes in the chat. So
War stories.
Tom Husband spent 65 on Damsgaard. Banta Boys said somewhere around 30. Pubs with Abs said 31. It looks like we all kind of got taken, guys. There was so much promise there.
I blame us. I think Will and I can talk about Geddish in the same vein, but even more so. Yeah.
Yeah, is what it is. I feel bad enough for my part in hyping up anyone to even consider Keen Lewis Potter. So it's
you need your Kieran Dow, man.
I have to have
he filled the role.
I have to have my absolute long shot sleeper. The Kieran Dowells of the world, the
Rain
Brewsters of the world.
Award, yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's move her along. Okay. So we're going to look at Fixture Difficulty Tracker for the rest of the season. So it's 2 game weeks, but obviously some teams play 3 matches. So I think you're going to see a trend, and that is going to be that the teams who play 3 instead of 2 matches are much higher in the Fixture Difficulty Tracker. Amazing how that works, especially when there are so few left. But City and United are going to be pretty much head and shoulders above the rest, with one exception, which is going to be very interesting. I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on that. But we're looking at goalkeeper currently. So you've got, City, United, Chelsea, Brighton, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Fulham, whatever. Like anything to take away from this. We don't need to spend a ton of time on goalkeepers, but thoughts on City being at the top.
Oh God. Yeah. I don't want any sort of temptation to take Ederson. I think if there's a decent chance they sew it up this weekend, in which case Ederson probably doesn't start the second one. So even if you're tempted to take him, and I don't think I would be, that's something to consider.
That's a good point.
But yeah, everybody's pretty much, I think, locked in on their goalkeepers at this point, with I think Mendy probably being the exception for Chelsea, because he was somewhat surprisingly slotted in for Kepa over the weekend, and I think it went under the radar quite a bit. So I think he might be going in your wire this week. He's somebody I'd consider. The defenders are quite the minefield, but Kepa or Mendy would certainly get some save opportunities against City and United. So
you're hoping to
one
he does.
Think about. Yeah,
right. You're hoping to God he does, because you're not. You don't foresee clean sheets anywhere in their next three, do you? City,
no.
United, Newcastle.
No.
In fact, sorry, we're going to talk a little bit later about clean sheet odds for this week, care of Fantasy Football Pundit. But I think City is something like 54% clean sheet odds against Chelsea.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You'd think it'd be more against a team that scored like 3 goals in a month.
Yeah, they're still Chelsea to a certain extent. I understand. It's not what it used to be. But for what it's worth, Banta Boy is saying avoid Chelsea, and that takes a lot coming from a Chelsea fan. So,
well, it makes sense. They know him better than we do.
Right, right.
Horrible they've been.
Yeah, that's fair. No, that makes sense.
But the goalkeeper, regardless of matchup, usually you like them in a double. Because especially the Chelsea goalkeeper, which Kepa has shown gets a lot of saves. So
yeah,
you could see Frank. Frank's Everton took care of City earlier in the season. You could see some sort of I don't know. See him putting up a fight.
The problem is, if you look at the top teams currently with the difficulty tracker here, they're rostered in all of my leagues, aside from you mentioned, maybe the Chelsea keeper. They're all rostered. Neto's gone. Pope's long gone. Your boy Leno, he's long gone. So maybe you could hope to get Fabianski in for Leeds and Leicester. That's a decent run.
Yeah, but if the last weekend is any indication, they're fully focused on Conference League glory. So how much are they really going to put into these last 2 Premier League games now that they're safe? But that would be my only caveat.
That was wild, wasn't it? Basically Moyes forfeited the match.
Yeah, knows where his bread is buttered.
It's true. It's true. I just thought it was crazy. I've never seen a manager do something like that, just so blatantly put out like a B squad against a team who was there to win.
Yeah. I love it because it forced one of my opponents to stream Maxwell Cornet, and I was just like licking my chops.
We've been there.
True test of whether or not I'm fully cursed.
We've been there, done that.
Webfoot Cornet put something by me, then I know.
Yeah, exactly. Scores a goal, obliterates his hammy in the process, but regardless, puts 11 past you. Oh man. All right, let's look at defenders. Okay, you're going to notice one glaring change in defenders. Smack dab between United and City, you see Everton, who are facing Wolves and Bournemouth. Do you trust them, Ryan? Which Everton defenders are you going to start?
God, I would say I would be keen on Keane, but he's been dropped of late. So I'm not going to go with Holgate, of course. Mikalenko starts to become somewhat tenable, but I don't trust him at all. I'd keep an eye on Keane, but otherwise, I think I'd probably stay away.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I don't know.
Despite the weird fascination, Patterson has no fantasy value.
There is a weird fascination in the fantasy community. I'm not sure quite like why he's such a darling. I guess maybe he had like a 2-game stretch in there where he did really well. But so did a lot of players, guys. It's time to move on. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of players that applies to on my roster, so I shouldn't talk. But all right, let's see. Anything else here? Obviously, Newcastle all completely rostered. Fulham, interesting, against Palace, and then United. I mean, maybe just a 1-week play.
Yeah, I mean, Tete's actually kind of gone off the boil. I think he got 9 with a clean sheet this past time out, which is weird because he used to get 9 despite conceding 2 goals. So his ghosts have kind of fallen off the wayside a bit. Tosin's usually good for ghosts as well, but he wasn't that great either. So those are 2 streamers that I would think about if they're available. But yeah, otherwise I'd probably stay away.
Okay, got it. Cool.
I really like targeting Palace streamers for that last game. Forest at home, gotta like those odds. So yeah, starting to hoard some of those streamers right now is probably a good play. If Ward is still available, pick him up. Talked a little bit about Will Hughes. He came on and got, I think, 12 ghosties, but yeah, we're getting off the topic. So
yeah, absolutely. I have an evergreen tweet somewhere that talks about Will Hughes looking like he might sell you a bag of magic beans. Right? Like he has that look to him. He just looks like somebody who would sell you a bag of magic beans. I just look at him and tell me I'm wrong. Anyway, that's for you all to do your research and come back and let me know what you think. All right. So there's defenders. I'm trying to think if there's, I mean, we're going to have some streamers obviously later, but here's a question for you. Are you loading up or are you sneakily adding any that you don't want to miss out on in 38?
Yeah, sorry, I was muting. I got a police.
I had one earlier. Yep. City living at its best.
Yeah. They just can't stop committing crimes for an hour.
Oh, man. Usually it's me out there, but I took a break.
Yeah. Putting in work on the streets. Yeah, like I said, I like Palace. Just trying to think of these. Yeah, someone like Keane or Mina for Bournemouth at home, 38. Yeah, focus on good matchups. Soyuncu at home to West Ham.
Ooh,
sneaky play. I mean, I know people are probably upset with those folks at this point.
You'll have West Ham starters back for that, though.
Yeah, but will they really care?
Probably not. They're safe.
Yeah. Those are the good matchups, especially for defenders. Arsenal at home against Wolves. You got to like Kivor. Tierney's, I swear, he just does not score well in fantasy at all. But he's somebody to keep in mind, at least for that matchup. Yeah, I think those are the main ones.
Yeah.
Tyreek Mitchell, maybe. Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's spend a minute with some midfielders here. So when we take a glance at midfielders, you're going to see, basically what you expect. Anybody playing 3 matches way at the top, even if it is against somebody like City. With Chelsea, you see City and Newcastle, both in the red. Midfielders against City scoring 5.6 on average, Fantrax default scoring. And then midfielders against Newcastle scoring 8.2. So, yeah, Brighton and Chelsea both have their match against City. So take it or leave it. I mean, I don't know. To me, those double game weeks, unless you get lucky with somebody coming with an attacking return or just some sort of like jammy assist or something like that. To me, those basically equate to a single game week, any game against City, because they just dominate the possession so much. Yeah.
I mean, if you ever needed a test case, and you don't, now that we have so much data to indicate that opposition players are horrible against City, Alex Iwobi, Ghost Point Magnet, got one single solitary point against City last week, and it was completely predictable. So, I mean, the only one I would kind of somewhat be tempted is if I had a good suspicion that Lewis Hall might get both games. He doesn't get docked, obviously, for the conceded goals because he's playing out of position as a midfielder. Got 9 ghosts this past game week. He'd be active for sure, trying to thwart these City attacks. So be potentially tempted by him, but otherwise it's a minefield. And all the Brighton assets are obviously already gone, bar Undav.
Yeah, been gone for quite some time.
Yeah, Leeds becomes interesting against
West Ham and Tottenham.
West Ham.
Yeah. Midfielders averaging over 9 against both of them.
And they obviously have something to play for.
And they'll probably be playing a Mickey Mouse West Ham team.
Mm-hmm. So like someone like Roca might be interesting. Obviously not a midfielder, but Yonto, keep an eye out for Sinisterra injury news. So their assets become interesting. Their defenders are. I've been burned by them, but I'm
trying to figure out who you would risk starting if Crescencio got a start against West Ham and it's a B squad. You're starting him, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
What about Aronson?
I still have PTSD of Aronson's.
I know.
1.5 games earlier in the season. I know he's done a bit better in the 2 managerial changes since. But I don't know if I'd count on him, but be interesting.
McKennie?
Nah,
no.
Roca's shown enough ghost pointing ability over the season to warrant a stream, I think, but. Yeah, I don't think someone like McKinney would do it for me. No,
and even Leeds a little bit sketchy with the exception of some rare streamers. My last one, we haven't talked about Wolves in a minute because I know we're all kind of just so I don't know, underwhelmed with what they've accomplished this season or lack thereof. But anyone from Wolves that you would you want to stream against Everton?
No, there isn't. I can't even fake it. No, there isn't.
Banta Boys, good point. Forshaw got 8 points in 45 minutes. If he gets the start, I could see it. I could see it.
Yeah. But that I suspect I didn't see the game, but I suspect that might have been like a chasing the game 8 points, but I'm not sure.
Amen, Evan. Give Adama a start already. Could not agree more, my friend.
I mean, obviously if he can start.
Absolutely. I AI generated an image earlier today of Adama Traore. Of Adama Traore shooting fireballs out of his hands.
I've been meaning to ask about that like white streak on the corner of his forehead. Where did that come from?
Supposed to be. I mean, I can't speak for the AI, but I think it's supposed to be a reflection.
Yeah, take credit for the rest, but the AI.
No, of course. Well, the prompt I put in was so good. I think it's supposed to be a reflection, but it ends up making his hair look like a wig or something. I don't know. It's very strange. Yeah. Oh, it's baby oil. Yep. Good call, Evan.
Pale white baby oil.
Yeah, just white. The worst kind of baby oil. Okay, let's move right along. Okay, forwards. go back full screen here. Okay, we've got Manchester United, Manchester City, Brighton, which we can talk Brighton forwards here in a second, Ryan. But Brighton and then West Ham, which is interesting given the fact that Antonio's back in training, may or may not make tomorrow's game, which makes it very interesting as to whether or not he starts this weekend. Arsenal, okay, fine, you're not going to get anybody there. Everton, which is another interesting one considering some injuries, and then a handful of other teams. But again, we see Wolves there facing Everton. So, any thoughts on this one?
I talked about Undav earlier. He's somebody you might be able to get.
So people are saying, wait, hold on a second, Ryan. But why are you moving past Evan Ferguson so quickly? I don't understand.
Well, I wrote a very long missive earlier today, so you can read that in Ghost Point Hunters about my disdain for Evan Ferguson, at least currently.
Yeah. I believe you called him the most overhyped fantasy asset this year or ever.
I probably said ever. I was in my feelings.
You were hurt in the moment.
Yeah. I was trying to be as hyperbolic as possible, but yeah, I stand by it. Oh God, yeah. Just looking at that, you think maybe Danny Ings comes to mind against Leeds, but no, man, I'd have to be in a weird mood to roll the dice on Danny. At this point.
or horribly chasing in your matchup.
Yeah. No, that's a decent Hail Mary play. If I think it's a later game. I think it's on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken.
Just looking that up.
Yeah.
Yes, it is Sunday. It's the first game on Sunday.
Okay. Yeah. If you're chasing and he gets the nod, there's certainly worse plays there. God, Man United. I mean, is Martial really going to get 2 bites at the apple there? Didn't he come off injured again? My God.
I mean, probably. Yeah. Okay. Stop. Be honest. You're not, even if you did get 2 bites of the apple, you're really going to go ahead and say that people should start Martial?
He's not for me. But I said that over the weekend, and he ended up scoring a goal. So
yeah,
it's good, 2 good matchups in the double. I mean, my head says maybe. Heart says
no, you're right.
No.
Oh, if you have him and he starts the first one,
I have a fiduciary responsibility to to advise on that. Although I personally dislike him, but
yeah, that's a good point.
He's also the subject of a wager between Draft Genie and myself, between 2 goal-scoring behemoths who would score more goals this season: Anthony Martial or Raheem Sterling. It was tied up going into this past weekend. Sterling's brace puts him over the top at this point, up a goal, but obviously 3 games left, so. It's anybody's ball game.
Yeah. Okay. But literally, Evan in the chat is asking, do you start Martial against Bournemouth? Yes. If he starts, yes. Yes, for sure. With the promise of the second match, absolutely. Definitely. There's a reason you have him on your roster, right? If it's not for this matchup, then what's it for? Because several of the rest of us have gotten so sick of just trying to roster him and have dropped him repeatedly. So if you are one of the chosen few who still have Anthony Martial, then yes, definitely start him against Bournemouth if he goes. Other news, it looks like Rashford is back. So what does that do for Sancho for you in the double?
Yeah, Sancho, I would think if he doesn't start the first, you don't risk it. If Rashford is back, I guess Anthony would probably be in the same boat. If he doesn't start the first, then it's a risk.
Yeah,
but,
he's been getting minutes though.
Yeah.
I'm happily starting Anthony. I don't have him anywhere, but I would start him.
I'd be more comfortable starting him over Sancho if neither started the first one, but that wouldn't be great. Yeah, I can't really see any other big plays, although, yeah.
Any Garnacho love?
Yeah, I thought about Garnacho, but I mean, he didn't even start this last one with Rashford out, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Tom Husband forcing Ryan to talk United assets.
I was going for the Oscar there, but
no, I'm trying to move on before he gets ornery.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right, fair enough. Okay. So anything else on the forwards? Oh no, I wanted to mention Everton, because of course, you have some key injuries. So
no,
old friend Neil Maupay just might.
Not a chance. No, no shot.
All right, people are gonna wonder, and
he'll get eaten alive in the Wolves' den this weekend.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm not doing it, but it does look like DCL is questionable. Have you seen any updates on that?
No, I haven't. But yeah. I'm shocked that he would have a knock. He's been so fit his entire career.
I know. I mean, everybody gets unfortunate freak injuries.
Other than Bruno.
Right.
This annoying player who would love to just take a pause from a few games a season. Always there.
Well, I mean, it makes sense though, because when you spend at least a third of the match just sitting down,
it does conserve injury.
You're resting. Yeah, I feel like you're resting in that way. So
yeah, no, that's fair.
There is
strategery.
There's that. All right, I'm sorry, United fans. Don't turn us off.
Just got 10 minutes of
you did
commentary.
You really did.
Nothing to complain about. I was forced to say that I wanted to start Anthony Martial. So.
Mm-hmm. And I as well. All right. Okay. So there you go. Fixture difficulty tracker. Next year, you can find that on thedraftsociety.com. That is for Inner Circle members. And normally it goes out way, way more than just 2 weeks. In fact, it goes, I think the default is about 6, but you can download it and change it to customize it to go as far out as you'd like, and really plan out your moves, plan out your waiver wire ads, plan out your trades. It's a really good tool. So check it out next year. But obviously today we've gone through every single position on the pitch, and I hope it was helpful. So let's move right along. Gameweek 37 streamers. Do you want to go first? You are first. Never mind. Okay, so first things first. Let's look at clean sheet odds very quickly, because I mentioned these, just wanted to bring them up. This is, again, care of Fantasy Football Pundit. So City, 51% in that first matchup, 44% in the second. Brighton, 50% in the first, and then nope. And then Newcastle, 44%. And those are your main shouts. Maybe Arsenal, maybe Liverpool, but otherwise everybody else well below 35. So, and I'm not going to mention Tottenham in terms of clean sheets. So, yeah. Any quick just kind of takeaways on that?
The Chelsea percentages are hilarious.
They're really bad. Yeah, I should mention 16, that.
My God. Yeah.
Yeah. Chelsea, 9 in the first match, and then 16% in the second match. So you're not looking for clean sheets from Chelsea.
I will say, I think Liverpool have strung together 4 or 5 clean sheets on the trot. Yeah. So I mean, you wouldn't put it past them, despite it being a
Villa.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about it. We don't have a whole lot to play for at this point, but
top 4 still
the 5 spot. No. Okay, sure. But I think Villa's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a tough match. I think it might it might be 0-0 up until the 75th minute, something like that. Maybe more. I just think it's going to be a cagey one.
Yeah, could be, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept a clean sheet. They're both trending the opposite way at this point, so
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to start Moreno, and I'm thinking about Konate. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Sorry, there's been some conversation in the chat about Evan wants to start a YouTube league. He just so happened to stumble upon our live streams and likes them, and so he said he doesn't have a Twitter, but he'd like to start a YouTube league if anybody's in. So hit up Evan on YouTube. If just go to the comments of this video, and Evan can get you set up with the YouTube league.
Avid YouTuber.
Yep, avid YouTuber, Evan. All right, cool. Moving right along. So Ryan, hit us with your Gameweek 37 streams. I know we've already mentioned a few of these, but let's recap.
Yeah. Sade. Got 11 ghost points this past weekend. Seems to be finding his footing. Decent matchup against Spurs. Again, with Tony out, he's going to want to stake a claim for his attacking role next season. It's the early game, which kind of sucks because you'd love to keep him on your roster as kind of a plug and play later on if one of your studs doesn't start. But yeah, I like him this weekend. Undav for the double. This is predicated probably on Enciso being out. I think that there was some positive news on Enciso's injury, so I would be surprised if Undav starts. But I mean, he came off the bench and got 24 or something against Arsenal, so I wouldn't advise it. But if you're chasing, starting Undav from the bench over the weekend's not a terrible play. I talked about Will Hughes, Magic Bean dealer, whatever you want to call him, Joe.
Yes, dealer. He opens up his coat and he's like, "Hey, no," except for he has more of like a, "Hey, would you like to buy some Magic Beans?" That kind of voice. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Despite him being very, very English, he certainly sounds like that.
Whatever accent that was. Which, yep.
So I think Schlupp still has a knock, so he should be getting the nod versus Fulham. He's a decent, I think, streamer if you need midfield help. Going back to the United Varane scored pretty well with the clean sheet over the weekend. Fred didn't actually. It's weird. I watched that game and Fred somehow actually passed the eye test, but only I think ended up with 3 points. But given that Sabitzer's out for the season and I think McTominay's still out, I wouldn't be surprised if Fred started both potentially. So yeah, those are my streamers.
I like it. There's a lot of chat going on about Sade being either maybe next year whenever we mention him we'll have to have a drop where we play a bit of smooth operator, or
we love his Night King,
or if we're gonna go the Akon route. Is that Akon who goes Sade?
I mean, a lot of different rap R&B tracks
say shorty, so we'll figure one of those out, and it's happening. It's definitely happening. All right, here are mine, and I will mention that at least I made this list and then went and looked at my matchup against Prosh in the community league, and he has 3 of these players going against me this week. So I'm going to hope for my sake that I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. So Doucouré versus Wolves. He's out there in plenty of leagues. He's been dropped because of their last matchup in some. So just double check, see if he's out there. He's been on fire. Aside from this last week, he has been absolutely killing it. Check him out, see if he's on your waiver wire. If so, add. Kivior, you mentioned him earlier, Ryan, versus Forrest. Decent chance of a cleanie. That's kind of what you're hoping for with him. Otherwise, you're going to end up with 3 to 4, something like that. Joel Ward has to continue to be mentioned because he's been just doing it. So check it out. I think he's only something like still maybe 16%, 18% rostered. I know that probably doesn't help in a lot of the uber competitive community leagues that we have, but check it out. Joel Ward is out there in most leagues. Ryan, I got to mention Bobby Firmino.
You really think he's going to start?
No,
I agree he's going to get like a 7-minute cameo to.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't actually think he's going to. I put him on here just in case. If he starts, yes, you got to start him. Just for the Bants. It's the last possible home start that you have for Bobby Firmino. You just got to do it. You got to do it. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to sleep well at night, listeners. If not, and you're still looking for a forward, Yohan Wissa, man, this guy is fool's gold. I mean, I'm just going to warn you. He's fool's gold, but he can pop up with a return. So if Brentford are having their day against Tottenham, which could happen, sure. But otherwise, you're going to be lucky to come away with 2 points to 3 points with Wissa. But if he comes up with a return, there you go. If you're desperately in need of a forward spot, he can fill it for you. And it's potentially a multi-week play if he gets both starts. But yeah, remains to be seen. Cool. Anything else on streamers, Ryan?
Nope.
All right, cool. Anybody in chat, if you have any questions, let us know. Now's the time to put them in that chat. We're going to go over a couple of Twitter questions first. But yeah, obviously, being as you have taken time out of your day to join us and be amazing, we love you. Hit us up. We're here. All right, first one. Is Evan showing up tonight? This is from Ben Chickens, who's also in chat currently. Yep, Evan's here. I hope you're happy.
It's an easy one.
But he's kept his behavior to a reasonable level. I don't think he's acted up really recently. So we'll keep him tonight. It's fine. All right, moving on. Here, this is real. Pick the landing spot for U.S. men's national team. Starting striker.
What?
Fuller and Balogun. This is from FP Elements. He says Brentford as a Tony replacement, Crystal Palace, Wolves, or Everton.
Oh, God. I mean, part of me really wants him to stay at Arsenal, but I think they might cash in on him. I don't think Brentford. My heart would love him at Wolves, but my U.S. men's national team fandom prevents me from him going into that poison chalice hole for a forward. So no Wolves, no Everton either. I don't want him playing dice ball. So I actually think Palace might be the best place for him. I can imagine linking up with Olise and Eze.
Oh, that gets my heart racing a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Wilf sticks around. I saw that they were offering him a contract extension, even though everybody kind of assumed that he was going to depart for pastures anew this summer because his contract's run up. But we'll see if he sticks around Palace. But my vote would be Palace, I think, if he has to leave Arsenal.
Yeah, I like it. I don't mind him as in that Brentford role. He would be quite productive is my guess. But just in terms of like long-term production, actually betting into the squad, I think Palace is the obvious because neither of their strikers currently have done enough. I mean, score goals. Yeah. So enough said. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But who can? I mean, another question is who can afford him? I mean, he's scored 20 goals in Ligue 1. He's 21. So he's gonna fetch at least 30 mil, you would think. It's quite a lot for some of these teams, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. All right. I like it. Okay. FPL Hazardous also joining us in chat. He has another question about Brighton assets, which we can get to in a minute, but this one is a good one. I mulled over this for quite a while today, and I'm still not quite sure how I feel about it. Alan St. Maximin has a Monday match. Is it worth risking that he starts?
I think so. More so if you're chasing. If you get to Sunday and you're chasing, I think he's probably worth the risk. At this point, you probably have cover for him. You probably have somebody like a Murphy who's also been out, unfortunately. But yeah, I think he's worth the risk, as I said, especially if you're chasing come Sunday.
I can see it if you're chasing. I can't condone this.
I mean, you surely have some cover.
You think so? In the Monday match? What, against Leicester?
Yeah, I mean, you have some Newcastle cover or some sort of streamer available that you can use as cover. So I don't think you'd be forced into it if you absolutely had to. And yeah, like I said, if you need the upside, then it's certainly there.
Okay, that's fair. But so you drop one of your whatever streamer guys and use that spot to get in somebody who you could slot in if need be. You're talking maybe Murphy, or it's a Leicester player. Are there Leicester guys you're starting against Newcastle?
Soyuncu can do a job. Just saying.
No, not against Newcastle. No way. I'm not doing it. Not in a potential must-win match to secure top 4.
Live a little bit.
I mean, I like your optimism, but no, that's usually my thing. But I'm not doing it today. Sorry. All right, let's come back to. Hold on one second. All right, let's come back to a question that Evan asked, which I thought is really good. Who's your favorite player who's barely played this year for next draft season? I think I know your answer to this. Can I guess your answer to this?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I think you're gonna say Fabio Vieira.
Wow, look at you. We talk way too much.
We do.
Yeah. He's definitely the guy that came to mind. I got Sade on the mind though, so he's
Sade
first and foremost. But yeah, depending on what do in the summer, especially with Xhaka leaving, I feel like Vieira has all the tools. He just needs to bulk up. My God.
Yeah.
And find some confidence. But he's somebody that could really improve next season. So I like him late, just as a really late round flyer. That'll be kind of boom or bust. But the potential upside is worth the punt. So he's somebody that comes to mind. Yeah, along with Shada, and I have some others that I'm keeping a little closer to the chest.
Closer to the vest. I don't want to ruin it. You're keeping closer to the vest. I don't know who those might be, but one of mine. This is a moonshot, okay? And actually, this might be my guy for next year. There's a chance this ends up being my Keen Lewis Potter. There's a chance this ends up being who was the other one? Kieran Dowell. Yeah.
OG.
Okay. Chiquinho.
Yeah, you never know how players come back from injuries like that. And yeah, you gotta think that Wolves are gonna improve.
God, I hope so.
Yeah. I'm ready to be hurt by Neto again, but my God.
Yeah.
Still, wound is still fresh.
Man, back to Arsenal. I'm sorry. So back to Arsenal. There's just so many players there that have so much potential that would be tempting, but I feel like it's throwing away a draft pick to take, somebody like a Nelson or somebody, just any of these guys that have potential, and I just don't see a way in.
Yeah, I think those guys are. I think that Nelson's going to leave. Seen a lot of rumors that Smith Rowe is going to leave. I think they're going to get rid of some promising talent and spend a fair amount of money this summer to upgrade probably Rice and Caicedo. In which case, yeah, Vieira would be stunted a little bit in that left-sided 6 role. But yeah, that'll be interesting with Champions League, and you would think a bit more rotation. I think Arteta's probably learned that he needs to rotate a bit more. But yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Tom Husband says, draft Nelson so that when he scores well 8 weeks after you drop him, you can at least say you called it.
Yeah.
I love that tactic.
Draft him in the 14th round.
Yep.
Immediately drop him for a streamer for week 1. And then, yes, pull up that screenshot of the draft and be like, yeah, just call that.
Your league looks at you like you're a genius. That's all that matters, really, isn't it? Yeah. Evan's mentioning Trossard. I don't see him in this conversation, really. I mean, I don't know.
I want to cuff him with Martinelli, obviously, depending on how expensive it would be. But yeah, drafting him by his own is risky biz.
Some people are mentioning Hamid Traore. I don't want to trigger you.
I mean, I guess I can't keep anything close to the chest anymore.
I mean, Ben Chickens and Banta Boys both mentioned it. Yes, that's absolutely one that we're pretty excited about for next year. So you won't see us talking about him much in the draft kit, but for this particular live stream, yes, we're excited about Hamid Traore. All right, moving on quickly. Pubs with Ab says, what about Curtis Jones?
Yeah, I mean, based off him finishing the season pretty strong and this new tactical setup, it seems like Klopp has actually started to trust him as a nailed-on midfielder. So depending on what they do in the summer, I could see him holding down one of these midfield roles, and he's done pretty well so far. So yeah, he's somebody that I'd be looking into for sure.
Yeah, I am hoping that we strengthen in midfield in a way that, as unfortunate as it is, will probably leave Curtis Jones without a starting spot. Because go ahead.
Who does McAllister come in for? Henderson, I guess. Yeah.
Henderson's gonna take on a more James Milner role. Now that Milner is off to Brighton, love the man.
Yeah. Nice little sleeper.
Oh, what a servant to the club. What a guy. Love him. And an incredible Twitter follow if you don't follow him. Amazing. Will be missed sorely. But Henderson will become more of that role. And so McAllister, I think, will slot into that 8 role, which could be productive for somebody who is a little bit more active and a little bit more involved. With the Curtis Jones, I just think more of an attacking mid. I'm really hoping we get somebody in who fits that role. But here's the other part of it is that I can absolutely see FSG using this run of 8 or whatever we're on 9 and being like, you don't need help in midfield. You just needed some motivation. You guys are fine. You're good. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I could see that too.
No. All right. Go ahead. You say something?
Mm-mm.
You looked like you were prepping to like spout a missive. No?
Always prepping.
All right, cool. Drafter thoughts. Okay. This was the question that I had hinted at before when I was looking at my fab expenditures. But this is a great question. Biggest mistake each of you have made this season, and what was your best decision? We'll stick with that one real quick. Biggest mistake you've made this season, and what was your best decision?
Biggest mistake, spending money on Gedesh, I think probably springs to mind. A couple draft picks I regret. But yeah, I think the Gedesh punt probably stands out. Yeah, I think that's probably mine. How about you?
Mine is going to be first and foremost drafting Joao Cancelo. 100%. I mean, there's nothing really and there's no foreseeing that. It just, shit happened and it deteriorated. But aside from that, things that were within my realm of control, I spent 71 on Dwight McNeil and then dropped him.
Oh man.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd say I don't blame you for either. 71 steep, but yeah, I spent 65 on Gedesh, so I can't say a damn thing.
I mean, is it steep now though?
Yeah.
If Frank Lampard had never been the manager,
it never existed.
Yeah, see, Robbie spent 82 on McNeil. So
but did he hold?
Yeah, that's true. Robbie, let us know. Did you hold, or were you like me and you dropped? I can't blame anybody who dropped. I held on for as long as I could. Yeah. I think I was rostering both him and Damari Gray at the time, and it got to a point with Frank where it was a fool's errand. There was no reason. I don't know why you would. You got to move on.
Yeah. No, but that type of money, sunk costs. That's 9 times out of 10 you made the right decision. It's just this one time you made a horrible decision.
Yeah. Robbie didn't hold.
Yeah.
But I'm actually
none of us would.
I'm composing an article about practicing patience that I've been telling the Draft Society lads about.
I don't know if you can use this one as an example, though.
Can.
What are the odds? What are the odds that?
All right. Let me tell you my thesis quickly. All right. So basically, I see 3 different types of holds, right? One of them is like your Phil Foden Manchester City type of hold, where it requires patience, yes, but you knew it was going in. And so at that point, then you signed up for this. So somebody like me who's going to sit here and bitch about City assets and them never starting, I am not the type of person who should take on that. I just shouldn't do it. But that's one type of asset, is that you know that this is going to happen, right? Another one is like a hidden gem, new to the Premier League, but you believe in them. You hold on to them for as long as you can, but there's always an extent to where you have to be like, all right, this is clearly not working out. Keane Lewis Potter. Dennis Undav actually is another really good example from the draft, which I would argue he's a great player still, but yeah, he just didn't have the opportunity, didn't, find the manager's good graces. The third type is a player who is proven in the draft game. And we know that they can do it. They've got the numbers to back it up in previous seasons. They're in a role where they should be doing well, but because of either the fact that they're out of form, the manager is not rating them at the moment, or any other sort of circumstances, they're not performing. And that is a situation where I'm going to argue that you should hold, because a lot of those teams eventually end up with new managers. Look at Eze, look at McNeil.
Yeah, that's well put. Can't wait to read the article.
Yeah, it'll be in long form sometime near when the draft kit comes out. So yeah, three types. If you ask me, there's 3 types of patience plays, and I think that's what they are. But McNeil, I don't know. Looking back, should I have held? It's really hard to say. His numbers were abysmal. I looked at him just the other day to kind of like reassure myself, and boy, they were bad.
Why did I do this? Yeah. No, you were well within your rights.
Yeah. All right, let's cheer each other up here. What's your best decision this year?
Some of the roster or the waiver wire pickups, being early on Matoma, I think is probably shared by all Matoma rosters this season. Early on Moreno and a couple other good ones, but something that I tried to be better about this season, and I think I was successful at, was trying to sell more players for fab, just like a couple bucks here and there. If I had a good streamer that weekend and I just didn't have room for him, I'd sell him for like a buck or two to somebody who was in need over the weekend. And that just really allowed me to, especially after spunking a fair amount of my budget on Geddes, it allowed me to build up enough of a war chest later to get Joint Boy for, I think, 25 or something.
Pedro Porro, for those wondering.
Yeah. And allowed me to get a lot of good streamers over the course of the season. So I'd say selling players for fab, I think I was very successful at.
Love that. Yeah, absolutely. Matoma is a huge one. I think for anybody who brought him in, you're going to look at that as being one of your absolute wins for the season. And I hope you did, when you brought him in, you held, because just good Lord. That's a good call. That's a good call. I'm going to say that one of my best moves of the entire season, and this is maybe a little bit of an underrated one, but in early March, I brought in Brian Mbomo for $7. My last $7.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that was maybe one of the best decisions I made all season. That was a good one. You love it when it works out like that. It just, I guess it reassures you that you're not complete and utter shit after you spunk your, whatever you just said, 878 or whatever on Geddes, and I'm over here with my 14 or 20 something on Damsguard. I can't remember what it was, but on Damsguard, and it just what could have been. What could have been. All right. Drafted Thoughts has one more question. If manager of the season was judged on who most improved their team, who would you pick? There's only one answer here.
I mean, outside of Arteta, I think it'd have to be Gary O'Neill, given how terrible they were in the position they were in. Now to be safe with a few weeks to spare, very, very impressive job.
I would say outside of Mark Robbins, maybe there's, but that we're not talking championship. It's fine. Okay, it's fine. But aside from that, how are we not talking about Roy here?
I mean, I guess, and you're not wrong.
I'm sort of kidding about that. But Tom Husband also mentioning Roy and Unai Emery. I mean, that's not a bad shout. And obviously, Banta Boy is mentioning De Zerbi. Yeah.
A lot of good candidates.
But the thing is, like, I know De Zerbi has improved Brighton, clearly, right? But like, they were already in a really good place. They were in a great spot. under Potter. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just in a better spot now.
What did they finish, like 8th last season?
Was it 8th? I can't remember exactly.
8 or 9, I want to say.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Somebody fact check us in chat.
Yeah, if they go from 8 to probably 6, 5 or 6, then yeah, it's pretty good.
I mean, yeah, if they go from 8 to Europe, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're just judging on position wise, yeah, I think Emery has a good shout for sure, because I think they were like 14th or 15th when he took over.
Yeah.
But
and would you say maybe Emery quietly in this category, like sort of unsung a little bit, even still?
Yeah, I think he's criminally underrated. I thought he got a bad rap at Arsenal, to be honest. Took us to the Europa League final. We got battered, but yeah, I thought he did a good job, and yeah, I think he's immediately had a great effect on Villa. So yeah, I think they give him a summer. I think they're going to be potentially a force to be reckoned with next season. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, he's definitely got a good shout.
All right. So last one. This is from Simon Rothstein, at Cy Rothstein. Looking ahead to game week 38, who will be the best one-game punts that it's worth maybe picking up early this week? I know I mentioned this to you previously, but we could kind of like revisit it a little bit, just solely focusing on this. He says, thinking those was something to play for, those playing their last game for a club or fringe City Arsenal players getting a run out if the title race is over. Those playing the last game for their club. I feel like he's hinting at something there.
Yeah, I mean, if Klopp doesn't care about getting top 4,
top 5,
yeah, wants to throw out Firmino in the last game, then certainly. Yeah, I mean, it's like we've talked about. You got to just look at the matchups. Like I said, a lot of Palace streamers against Forest at home, probably Woy's send off. Yeah, it's hard to predict those other folks that he's talking about. It's one of those things where you got to just check lineups that last game, and just pounce on any good streamers that pop up. There's always a few, and it's hard to predict. So yeah, outside of looking at the matchups like Palace at home to Forest, then yeah, you just got to be Johnny on the spot when those lineups come out.
Yeah, I mean, let's here real quick. Okay, let's go back really quickly. Okay, so we're looking at Everton, versus Bournemouth, Arsenal versus Wolves. Do you see any rotation in the Arsenal lineup?
Oh God, I doubt it.
Yeah.
I think it'll be probably a few players last game with the club. So like, I think Reece Nelson's probably leaving, but I can't imagine that he'd bench Saka, for example, for the last game. I think he's gonna stick with the main 11 and just give substitute cameos to probably a few more people than he normally would. So yeah, I don't see any big upside streamers there.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool do have Southampton, so that is absolutely something worth mentioning, just to say the least. I know you're not going to be streaming Bobby Firmino anytime soon, but if he starts, definitely. If I can get my hands on him, I'm playing him. But that being said, yeah, I mean, so here's what I'll say. Somebody named Draft Lad, who is a member of the Draft Society, has created a fantasy toolkit. And this is the time when I'll go back and talk about that as we're closing here. The Fantasy Toolkit is a literal app that we have. You can get to it from our website. Go to the draftsociety.com, and on the top or on the menu, go to Fantasy Toolkit. When you get there, you will be able to put in your specific league and your specific secret Fantrax ID, which will help you to get. And it's going to show you specifically for your league who is available and what their projections are. Now, the best part about this is the projections are going to be for whether they start or not. So if you see that, for example, people in the chat are shouting out Cole Palmer or Sergio Gomez, if you see that those players are projected for a decent amount of points, one, potentially stash them, like I did with Undav a couple of weeks ago and got lucky. And it was only because of the Fantasy Toolkit that happened. Or two, you know that those are guys that you need to keep your eye out for when those lineups are announced. And if you see them starting, that's who you grab, right? So that's a situation where projections are not gospel. Please never think that. But projections can help you to kind of target guys who have upside. And that's exactly what you should be doing game week 38. So check that out. I hope that helps, Sai. But yeah, I mean, game week 38 is always such a crapshoot. Some teams are rotating, some teams are not. Some teams are giving send-offs, some teams are not. It's just, yeah, it's wild. So yes, after this week's game week is over, the Fantasy Toolkit should be updated. Not immediately. Come on, we're humans. But at some point then afterwards, you can log in, hopefully Friday before your waivers run, and check in on players with high projections. Anything to add to that, Ryan? I like it. All right. So that means we are going to go ahead and close her down, which means let me skip through all of these slides and tell you adios to the muchachos and muchachas. Thank you, chat. You guys are fun as usual. Hoping to get the popularity up for this thing. Get more and more people here joining us. But regardless, always going to put this out on podcast format. So head over to Spotify or anywhere you listen to podcasts. On Spotify, you can still see the video format. So that's kind of cool. But otherwise, everywhere else, you can get it in the audio format. And as always, hit us up if you are having any conundrums, questions, anything like that. Add us on Twitter. We'll try to get some eyes on anything that you're doing. And last thing, Toddy, starting tomorrow, you mentioned, or you noticed Toddy wasn't here. Starting tomorrow, Toddy is going to be in Athens. So if there are any members of the draft community.
Athens, Georgia, by the way.
Nope. The other one. The main one. Well, you could argue, the one that is a little bit older than Athens, Georgia. The real Athens, the actual Athens. If you're in Athens or if you're going to be in Athens, hit up Toddy. Literally, do it. DM Toddy and let him know that you're there and see if you can't grab a beverage or grab some food or something. We love to meet up with the draft community whenever possible. And Toddy's going to be in Athens. So if you're there, do it. All right, Ryan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, just wanted to say thanks everybody for the support. This will probably be my last pod of the season since I'll be out across the pond next week.
Yes.
Yeah. So if anybody in Malta, I know we got folks in London, so going to try and set something up there. But yeah, if anybody in Malta, let me know because I won't be there middle of next week. But I just want to say thanks for all the support. Been awesome season. Thanks to Joe, Podfather. Great job transitioning to live stream and all this. It's your baby. So well done, man.
It is. Love the community. You guys are why we do this. I tell you every time. So it all goes back to this community and how amazing you all are. So, all right, until next week, whoever is here, we'll see. Might be Toddy if he's back. Won't be Ryan. Banta Boys. Anyway, check us out. We'll be here next week. Whether it's just me or some random guest, maybe this guy Evan. Who the hell knows? All right, we'll talk to everyone soon. KPC out. Love you guys. Cheers.